Hello there, and welcome to what was formerly known as the Universe podcast, and will be going forward as the Students in Stereo podcast. I think that it was time for a bit of a rebrand. I think that the name, as much as I love it and it will always have a place in my heart, I do think that this new name makes a little bit more sense. When you used to search for the Universe podcast, you're flooded with a bunch of physics podcasts. And as cool as those are, that is not what this podcast is. So, this podcast is same themes, not much is going to change in terms of I'll still have guests primarily in terms of that compared to my solo episodes. However, this is a solo episode, so I apologize if you wanted a special guest this week, but you are stuck with just me. You are ever so lucky. And yes, this is the rebrand. Thank you. Shout out to Max Roach, previous guest on the podcast. He is a filmmaker, a great graphics designer. He designed the graphics for the new podcast rebrand. Definitely loving that lavender purple energy. We still have our moonlight if you're watching us here on YouTube. She's just hiding back there. Yes, and if you're watching us on YouTube, you see I'm in a new space. I'm in a new house this year, and I have a new room, obviously, but we have the same poster here and the same moonlight. So the aesthetics are still similar. But that being said, the main difference here is the name. Everything else about the podcast should be pretty much the same. So getting right into it, this episode is going to be a big look at what has been happening in my life. It's been a crazy summer, and yeah, let's just dive right in and listen to our little theme song. I thought with all the changes that having the same theme song might be able to keep, the the roots of the podcast essentially the same. But yeah, going right into it, my summer. So the last y'all heard from me was when my British friends Scarlett and Will came to visit me in Seattle. That was so incredibly fun. A crazy 2 weeks. We did so much. If you didn't go listen to that episode, definitely go check it out now. And that was such a fun 2 weeks to really kick off the summer. Then after that, I was working, and had a great time with that. And I also did some traveling to see the family. Like I went to Nova Scotia, in Halifax. So shout out to all the what do you guys call yourself? Nova Scotians? Is that a thing? Shout out to my cousins. Had a lovely time. Oh my gosh, ate the best lobster ever while I was there. Delicious. It was so funny. My dad was telling me that when he was younger and when he lived there, that like lobster you could get it so cheap, right by the docks and everything, and just like super fresh, super cheap back in the day. And I'm so gel. But we actually got a pretty good deal. So we had a lobster feast. After that, went on down to New York to visit my grandmother, which was lovely, and then went back home for a bit, and yeah, spent a lot of time with the family. I think this summer I really did intend a podcast. I'm so so sorry, but I do think it was good for me to have a bit of a break on this front and to just focus a lot on spending time with friends and family and working. Because I knew I'd want to save money because it's going to be a busy, busy year for me. I've started rowing again. Back in high school, I used to row, and here at the University of York, the rowing team is actually quite good, I'd say. Where I mean, I'm now a senior fresher, and that means that so there are two teams. So the way it works, if you want to join rowing, if anyone's interested, or I'm just going to tell you all how it works anyway. So there are two teams. There's the novice team, and then there's the senior team for both the men's and the women's. So as a novice, your first time rowing, you join the team, and then I think it's around January time when there are cuts, which or it's December or January, I think, and the cuts are if they don't either see like potential in you, or if you don't take the sport seriously enough, or if it's just not a good fit, or if you don't want to do it anymore, it's an opportunity to leave. And yeah, from then on, after your first year of rowing, then you join the seniors team. But because I already have prior experience, I am now a senior fresher, even though I'm in my third year. So it feels weird calling myself a fresher, but it's kind of fun. I mean, it's something new but old at the same time. Um, yeah, I hit the ground running there. When I got back, I also okay. So for anyone that heard the episode with Cal, you might have heard a bit about the incident at Flair's when he was punched in the face by this 40-year-old man ish. I'd say 40s question mark. Who we didn't speak to this man, to make eye contact, like nothing. We did not know this man, and he just walked over to us and just punch. And as he punched him, he also like hit my arm. So when the police came to my house the next day, they were like, "You're technically also a victim," and I was like, "Oh my gosh, you're so right." So then I was I had a lot of internal debates on whether or not I should go through with this, but I did. And so they were trying to call me all summer. Now, I had my US SIM card in my phone, so I didn't get any of this. All of this was unbeknownst to me, that they were calling me, leaving me voicemail saying I needed to come in for a lineup. Now, I'm picturing something out of these crime dramas you see on television. I'm picturing like the one-way glass and the people lined up with like the different height measurements for you to see, and then like there's 5 of them, and then you're like, it's that one. It reminds me of, what show is it? Is it the Brooklyn Nine-Nine show? That I've seen the clip on like Instagram and stuff, where the guy, he starts singing the song by he goes, "I never wanna hear you say I want it," and then he hears him, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, like you were the one," because like I heard him singing, like that was him. Anyway, total sidetrack. Yeah, so that was my like thought. That was my thought process on how this was gonna go down. It's a little more modern and understated than that, at least for this kind of case. So so I was also contacted by email, and I responded to that. And I had a meeting booked to go over to the police station and do this witness statement thing. Well, not witness statement, this lineup thing. So I was shown a video. Well, okay. We're gonna go back. I was taken to a room where I was told that I needed to shut down my phone, and I was gonna go to this room where there were all these cameras and audio equipment, and I had to watch a video that I was supposed to watch it full through like twice without saying anything, and then I had to and eyes had to be glued to the screen, and I couldn't like say anything, and I had to watch it through twice, and then I'd be able to say if I wanted like to go back to anyone, or if I just wanted to say who I thought it was. And it is possible that the person's not even in the video, right? So I was watching it, and I was so nervous. Like every time I moved or like drank water, the person started scribbling on this piece of paper, and I was like, oh my gosh. Like, it was interesting. So I had 9 people. They would come on the screen, and then they would like turn their head to the one direction, then they would turn their head to the other direction, and then face forward, and like very deadpan kind of face. And a lot of the people looked like similar to the description of the person that I gave. And then I eventually said to the person that I wanted to see 2 of the people one more time, back to back, just because even though I was very sure it was the one person, I just wanted to like see them back to back just in case. And then I definitely knew who it was. I'm not going to say any numbers or anything because the case is still ongoing, so I don't want to like say anything else. But yeah, that is how the whole watch the video thing works now. For the lineup, very interesting. And then I got on my little bike and I biked home. Oh, also I got a bike. Yay! Let me just say, because I do live a bit further away from campus this year, I knew that this bike was going to be a game changer for me. So shout out to Katie for selling me her bike. because now I am a biking girly. So I get on this bike and she's like cute. She's like a nice teal blue. She's got a little belt, little light little side bag, a little kickstand. I'm like a cute little biker girl now. And while I was biking, uh, I know that two of my housemates, shout out Bobby and Will, they bike a lot. They bike all the time. So we were like biking to go get ourselves a little treat at the Little, and they were saying how like I was so slow, but because they thought that my seat was possibly too low. Now, when I was biking and stuff, I obviously biking to rowing and biking to campus and like biking everywhere. Like I am a busy girly. I feel like I have had nonstop stuff going on, except for a different story, which I will get to later. But it's been nonstop go, go, go. And I was on this bike and my left knee started like killing me. I'm telling you, like pain. That when I was like on the rowing machines and I was erging, I would just feel like my knee started to hurt, but it would really hurt when I was biking. And I was like, okay, this is definitely a biking injury. I thought it was an overuse injury potentially. So I thought it was great. When I got COVID, I was like, oh, even though I feel horrible, I at least can rest my knee, let some of my blisters heal from the oars and things. Um, and yeah. So this was the other story is that I got COVID. My second week back after Freshers Week. Which I also have a story about that, which I got to later. So yeah, I had my COVID incident because COVID here in the UK, let me tell you, it is everywhere. Everyone I know has gotten it. I thought I just had Freshers flu. So I had like a bit of a fever and then it broke and everything. And so then a few days later, like I went to class, but because I didn't think it was COVID. But on my walk home, the tiredness I felt, I was like, tiredness, this is a big COVID symptom. Let me just, buy a test. Bought a test at Boots, came home. I'm talking hard red positive line, like very much COVID. And I was like, okay. The next day, I couldn't smell anything, couldn't taste anything. Really, really weird. And then that got me really thinking, like, deeply about our senses and how important smell and taste are to me. And how, like, when I travel, I love to eat food. When I travel, I'm a big foodie. I love to cook. Both of my parents love to cook and make really good food. Like, I think food is a big part of my, like, it's a big part of my life and my friendships. I love to go out to coffee shops. Like today, I went to a coffee shop with a friend and had a great meal, and like that brought me such joy that I could taste it and smell it. And I will say, like, I definitely appreciate these these senses I have. And I was thinking, I was like, if I don't, because I know people that don't get their smell and taste back. And I know someone like close to me who she never got her smell really back fully. And that, to me, I think I would actually become like clinically depressed or something. Like, I actually think, yeah, to me, I was like really scared I wouldn't get it back. Because like while I was also ill, I mean, I was like, there's no point in making all these nice foods, but I had all these ingredients that I already bought that I needed to cook all this nice food anyway. So I was using spices and I could barely taste it, and it was really sad. Um, but I couldn't make a bland meal. I just can't do it. Um, yes. So anyway, COVID, I thought that my knee would heal, but then I got back on the bike. Things were not going so well again, and I was like, all right. Then my husband Bobby's like, I'm gonna go to Halford's. Because the thing is, the seat wouldn't raise. Like, it's kind of broken. Like, you need to take it in somewhere for them to do it. And I was like, all right. He said, I'm going to Halford's right now. Would you like to come? And I was like, all right, I will power through, and we'll get this bike fixed. Maybe it'll fix some solutions. Let me tell you, when she raised this seat, I felt like a new biker. I felt on top of the world, and I felt rich. And what they say is true. Health is wealth. My knee felt fine suddenly as I was biking. Because I mean, the muscles you're using are different too. Like, my knee's not bending as far because I'm higher up. I could stand. Like, oh my God, I go faster now. It is so nice. I am a biking girly. I'm a biker stand now. I bike in the street, like with traffic. I'm like doing things. I'm turning. I'm signaling. Yeah, I'm doing it. And for me, I was also really, really scared initially because it's the wrong side of the road, obviously, for me. So I was like, I'm gonna turn into oncoming traffic because to me, like, it's gonna be the wrong way, um, or just like the wrong side. That's something I was very worried about. Knock on wood, no issues so far. Um, yes. So the other story I wanted to also get into a bit was Freshers Week. So Freshers Week came and went. It was a success. So in the past at James College, we've had a club night on campus, near like the campus like bar and things at a place called the Roger Kirk Center, which is like the big dining hall, but we convert it into like a club. We get like a big stage and the lights, and there's a theme. The theme I'd wanted was Big Summer Blowout, like an end of summer party theme. But with the budget, it's just so expensive to actually do all this. So we did not, in fact, have a club night this year, but instead, we had like some other cool things going on. And one of them, which I did not see coming, was a hypnotist came in. And I was like, all right, big turnout already. Surprise number one. Turnout for the hypnotist was big. Not to call myself like, okay, not to say that I didn't like believe that there'd be a turnout for this, but I was like, it's not like a big drinking club event. Freshers, everyone just wants to drink. But I was like, damn, like there was so much more to my freshers week than like I could have gone to go do. Which then I was like, all right, I'm gonna carpe diem, and I'm actually gonna like come to these things, not just because I'm on committee, but like I'll I'll go. So I went to this hypnotist night, full crowd, and I show up after having done like a lot of rowing stuff that day. So I'm still in my workout gear, um, looking kind of frazzled, coming with my Stanley Cup, which, by the way, I'm obsessed with my Stanley Cup. I drink so much water now. I'm a hydrated queen. She comes everywhere with me. Yeah. Anyway, so I go in to see this hypnotist thing. Now, what I'm saying, sorry, let me adjust this. Okay. Now, what I'm thinking is going to be great is I'm like, oh, maybe I can be hypnotized to enjoy getting up early in the mornings for rowing. So I go in, not what I expected at all. The hypnotist says that he has like his like list of requirements saying like if you want to be hypnotized potentially, you shouldn't be drinking, you shouldn't have any like anxiety or severe depression or anything like that. But like, if you then want to come, and also if you believe that there's a possibility it could work, like you shouldn't be a super anti-hypnosis person, then come up on stage. And I was like, but then my friends were kind of egging me on to do it, and I was like, okay, I'll go up on stage. And there's a group of maybe 30-ish people, 30, 40 people, something like that. We're all up on stage. I'm really thinking like this isn't gonna happen. But he starts playing the music, and you're supposed to like look at a point, and you just kind of like zone out a bit. And then he has you like, close your eyes, and you're slumped over, and then he says like sleep. And so the thing is, I think this is then more of like a conditioning thing, is how I kind of saw the hypnosis in the end. I'd say like he'd say sleep, and whether the command was something else, it could have been like lift your foot or lift your hand, or like you felt compelled to do it. But so sleep, I was like, this is a casual thing. Like, yeah, I can just kind of chill here with my eyes closed. And I was tired. It'd been a long day, so I was kind of liking this. But he also said if he didn't think that you had the potential, he'd tap you on the head and ask you to leave. So part of me was secretly hoping, because you're in front of such a big group of people, I didn't feel like super cute or anything, and I was like, you know what? Like maybe he can tap me on the head, and I can go sit down and just watch the show. I don't get tapped on the head. I am one of the, I think it was about 10 of us that ended up being up there. I was like, oh, yay. And again, I wasn't super anti hypnosis. Like I didn't think that it wouldn't work, and I was anti it, but I was just nervous, I guess, in front of this big group of people. And that says a lot also because I am a very extroverted person. I'm very outgoing. I have a podcast. I talk a lot, but I do think that I was just a little bit nervous to be up there. And I wonder if I'd been alone being hypnotized, if it would have been a deeper hypnosis, which means, dun, 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 I do think I got slightly hypnotized. So adjusting again. Okay, so while I was on the stage, he would come up with these scenarios where you either are envisioning something and like so the things that got me the most were at the beginning when he has you sitting there, and this is when he was kind of filtering people out, was imagine that like you have your two hands palm facing down, your eyes closed, and then he taps the hand that he wants you to flip over. And then you imagine that there's like a pile of books in the one hand, and then there's a bunch of balloons tied to your finger on a string on the other hand. And that like the one arm is getting so heavy, so heavy, so heavy, and the other arm's just lighter, lighter, lighter. And as we were going, yeah, I was like, my arms started moving up and down, and I was like, it, the thing is, if you don't want to do it, you won't. But the way I think the hypnosis works is like, I felt like I did, like my arm did suddenly feel really heavy, and I did like, again, if I thought that, oh, this is bullshit, I could have stopped at any time. So it isn't like it forces you to do something, but it kind of compels you to want to do it. So, and if you kind of give into it a little bit, then yeah, like your arms felt really heavy, and then like it just kept moving down, down. It was really slowly, but it did it. And then the other things that kind of got me were, oh yeah, there was one where he had the group, um, he had a couple people think that they were Martians. And then he had someone think that they were a Martian translator. Then he had someone think that they were racist towards Martians. Then he had me think that I was the leading a charity organization to like help Martians integrate, and that anyone that was racist towards them, I would have an issue with. And of course, the one who's supposed to be racist, she's sitting right next to me. So we're all chatting. The Martians are. This is where I get a little like. I mean, again, if you were really into it, you would feel like compelled to want to then make all these beep up, boop up sounds. That to me, I was like, I feel like I didn't fully then either immerse myself, or I was like, come on, like, get over yourselves. But when the girl next to me started saying like, go back to where you came from, kind of thing, I in my head, for whatever reason, then I guess I wanted to, like, I pictured it as being someone being racist towards one of my friends back home or something. And I felt upset, and I was like, this is weird that I actually feel upset. Like this is a fake event. Like but it was, yeah. And so I remember turning to her and I was like, don't say that. That's so out of pocket. It was random, but like, yeah. And then and then the two other events, like out of all the events, these are just the ones from my experience that I felt the most like hypnotized by. There was a 20-minute, now mind you, this was like a 2.5, 2 hour show, something like that. There was a 20-minute break, and each person, he gave like a task to, and the thing is like the audience knew all of the tasks. So while we were sleeping with our eyes closed and you're kind of like slumped on other people that were there, he would tap on you, and tell you like what you were supposed to be thinking and doing while you were out there. So there was one girl, he had her pretend that she thought that she was employed by the uni to stand outside the toilets and sell pieces of toilet paper for like 20p a square or something like that. And people were paying for it. And then there was someone else, who thought that like she knew everyone's secrets there, which then later people in the audience were confused and thought I was that, so then they tried to confront me about it, thinking that I thought that I knew other people's secrets there and wanted to spill. But anyway, then what I actually had was that I was supposed to think that I was a film director of a movie set, and that everyone there was my crew. So while I was, out there, I didn't actually ever think I was a film director. I didn't actually think that these people were my crew. And it was funny that I also got like the film and TV one. Like, he didn't know I did film and TV. I was like, oh, do I just give off like this air of director? Okay. So I remember feeling frustrated that people were standing and milling about, and that people didn't seem like productive. And then I remember freaking out thinking, wait, why am I actually frustrated? This is like, these are freshers at an event. This isn't an actual production of any kind. Like, why are you annoyed? But I felt agitated and annoyed. And it was really weird. And I remember the co-presidents of James, Ellie and James, they were getting a drink at the bar. And I remember telling them, I was like, okay, now go sit down. Like, y'all have been on your feet all day. You've been really stressed. Like, you should go sit. And I remember after I said it, I was like, Teagan, what are you doing? Like, get it together. And so then I spent most of the time in the toilets, actually, because then I was like, why do I feel this way? Calm down. It was a very strange experience. Then we got back on stage. So the final event was a dancing event. So if he tapped you on the head, when you would hear a certain song that was playing, you would like dance a certain way. So for example, someone on stage, when song by Michael Jackson played, he would get up and dance, start thinking he's Michael Jackson, and he give him the hat and like the gloves and everything, and like it was a slay. Then there was someone on the stage that he gave like a duster to, and he was supposed to think that he was hired by the uni to like clean and dust things, but that whenever a certain song would play, he would then get sensual with this duster. To me, it was very like it was giving Beauty and the Beast. You know how like you've got the Lumiere and the duster, whatever her name was. What was her name? Duster woman, who was the like super sexy one. Anyway, then myself and a couple other women, we were supposed to think we were Beyonce when I'll single ladies would come on. Okay, so I just remember like when the song came on. Again, no, did I think it was Beyonce? No, I didn't. I know who Beyonce is. She's a queen. Am I Beyonce? No, I did not think I was Beyonce. However, I did want to dance, and I was there to have a good time. And I was thinking of like, obviously like with the Renaissance tour going on, and I'm seeing clips of it on my Instagram feed. So like knowing how Beyonce dances, like I'm more aware of it currently. So I started busting out like a couple moves that I've seen from the videos. And I like, yeah, like I wanted to dance and I had a good time. And at that point I was like, you know what? Like I'm just going to full send it because I've been up here for this long. It's the end of the show. And yeah, I'm just going to vibe. So I was just vibing. I was dancing, and there were a lot of people that were telling me afterwards, like, you were so hypnotized by the end. And I was like, whether you want to call it hypnosis or then just like wanting, I guess, to like give into it a bit more or just having a good time, I did that. I had a great time just dancing. And then I was getting some cheering. I was like, "Oh, for me, stop!" Like it was really really fun. And oh, okay. And then the final thing he did after all that was then he had us then while you were under like the hypnosis of like sleeping or whatever. He said that when we would wake up, we wouldn't know what had happened the past 2 hours. So this to me, I was like, well, obviously I'm gonna remember everything. But when he said like wake up and like then I was trying to like remember details of certain events and it was like a blank had been drawn over me. It was super super strange. I was like this is really really it was weird. And I was like, come on Teagan, like your short-term memory cannot be this bad. Like you obviously remember everything. And I was like trying to remember details of certain events and I couldn't. It was like a white sheet of paper. And then when you shake his hand when you get off stage, then like you would remember everything. So obviously like he was saying you're gonna forget that, you know, like the show happened at all. You're gonna wonder how you got up here. And I never wondered that, but it was weird, like that I couldn't remember the details, and then I shook his hand and then like it all came flooding back. Um yeah. A weird, unexpected experience. I really did not expect the hypnosis story to go on for this long. I apologize. Um yeah. Overall, so that was kind of a highlight to me for Freshers Week. And then I went to not Refresh, keep calling it Refreshers, Returners Night, which is maybe where I got COVID, honestly. It was everyone coming back, a fun night, said hi to all my friends, so I mean, shout out if you're listening and you were there. Yeah, so I'm excited to see what this year is to come. I went this past week to the rowing socials, my first sports social. So for anyone that doesn't know, at the uni, I think this is unis across the UK. Wednesday night is like the student night, It's the night all the students go out. I know that in the U.S., at least I know my friend that goes to Cal Poly. She says that it's more Thursday nights, or like that's when everyone goes to the bars. For us, it's Wednesday nights. So I went to my sports social. Theme was cops and robbers. So you couldn't, although you couldn't pick. It was more like there were cops, but you have to be a robber. So the social sex, who were like, if you don't know what that is, that just means like the people that run the social nights. They plan it and run it and everything. They were the cops, so they're like chasing after you. And then we were split into teams, and we had to complete quests. Like we had to go to certain bars, drink certain things. There was one challenge where the guy he on my team he definitely took one for the team here. You had to do a long armed blue shit, and okay, quick reference: a blue shit is a drink that's native to York. It's like a blue soda with 3 shots of vodka in it. So I was like long armed, like you extend your arm fully and drink it, and the social sex were like, yeah. And I was like, I do not want to be doing that. So, shout out to, I forgot his name. He took one for the team, and he went to the men's toilets, because I'm like, if you do it in the bar, you're gonna get kicked out. Like, there's no way. And he did it. Another weird thing we had to do was we had to go to Mackey's and get just a slice of cheese. So there was this guy on our team. He ordered a cheeseburger and then said no bun, no meat, no pickle. No, it was just cheese. And the woman seemed angry. She was like, did someone here order just cheese? And we were like, yeah, it's for our challenge. And she was not thrilled. However, we paid £1.29 for it, so get over it. It was one of the more expensive pieces of cheese like we were gonna have in a while. Yeah, and then we ended the night before going to the club at this pub called the Corner Pin, and shout out to my friend Kieran. He was like playing music and everyone was vibing, and he was doing a great job on the guitar and singing, and it was a good vibe. It was really fun. Yeah, so my first social complete. The first social that I had COVID for was like the toga social. So everyone wears a toga. And yeah, fun fact. Shout out to my middle school for this this little tidbit of information, is that actually it was Roman in Roman times the woman would wear something called a stola, which just think of it's like a white, think about like a long tube top. It's just like it's just a white tube of like cloth, okay? And then the men would wear like the traditional like toga. But if a woman wore a toga, that meant she was, I'm pretty sure it was a prostitute. Slay. So the more you know. Anyway, so I also wanted to mention with the new rebrand of Students in Stereo that episodes will be dropping on Fridays instead of Thursdays. This will just be easier for my schedule. So set a reminder, if y'all do that kind of thing, for Fridays, for the podcast to drop. Yay! And thank you guys so much for listening. We are back, baby. Woo! And I have a big day tomorrow. I'm interviewing for the sound position on some final third-year film projects. So let's hope I do well. I'm excited. A little nervous. It's gonna be a good year. I'm sad it's my final year, so expect some like crazy stories. I think third year things pick up and get a little crazy because you're just so busy. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for listening. You can find us anywhere podcasts can be found, that being Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the places. You can also find us on YouTube at Students in Stereo. And I also changed the Instagram handle. You can follow us at Students in Stereo. Alrighty. Thank you guys so much for listening. Bye!